This is a podcast from The Bugle.
They say the world is ending. They're wrong. The world is simply changing into an environment that doesn't support human life. So you, a scientist, do the obvious thing. You invent a machine to speed up evolution. If humans can't survive the future, you'll turn them into something that can. You're not too proud to admit there are a few false starts. The cockroach men, the amphibious pirates, the young Mel Gibsons. But eventually you get it right. Find the perfect arrangement of selective pressures. You usher in the next stage in human evolution. Neither animal nor God. In the future, we are the Gargle. Welcome to the Gargle. This is the sonic, glossy magazine to the Bugle's audio newspaper for a visual world. All of the news, none of the politics. I'm your host, Alice Fraser, and your guest editors for this week's edition of the magazine are Alison Spittle.
Pew, 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 pew.
Ooh, I like the pacing of that.
Thank you.
And John Luke Roberts, welcome.
That was a bomb. I did a bomb.
Well, wonderful. Before we duck into the fallout shelter that is this week's top stories, let's have a look at the front cover of the magazine, which this week is Blake Lively dressed in florals, yassifying the domestic violence themes of her new movie so effectively that she seems to have almost completely undermined all of the goodwill that Ryan Reynolds spent building up with Hugh Jackman in the last... seems like 8 years of that Deadpool and Wolverine publicity tour. And the satirical cartoon this week is an HR manager tactfully addressing an employee who is garbed as Ming the Merciless, and the HR manager is saying, I agree that dress for the job you want is a good general rule, but this is a hospital. And that brings us to this week's top story. Top story this week, and I should say this week is a very slow news week, and so we're dealing with slow news. Not because there's not plenty of things happening in the world, but because I felt like some quiet and calm news stories. So the top story this week I should approach with less enthusiasm in my voice and more sort of the reassuring calm of somebody on a radio program about gardening, which is to say, Crayola has trademarked the quote-unquote slightly earthy smell of its crayons. John Luke, you've eaten a crayon or two in your time. Can you unpack this story for us?
Yes, although I don't quite understand it. They want to copyright the smell so that they can pump the smell into shops and make people go, oh, I remember crayons, I'd like to buy some of them. But I don't know, that seems to be the story, basically. Oh, and especially, that reminds me of Crayola crayons, those crayons that I really liked the smell of, and as a little child, I chose them specifically because of the smell, not just because they were put in front of me. But you can pump a smell somewhere without copyrighting that smell. And if anyone else were to do that smell, right, then they would just be advertising your crayons. So I don't understand why they need to copyright it. I don't know. They should batch produce it and then say to the other companies, you can't have our smell, you can't have it. So the other companies go, oh, we're going to pump your smell in anyway, and then end up doing advertising for Crayola in the first place, having been duped into it by the massive international conglomerate and part of the military-industrial complex, Crayola.
I mean, that is a very good point. I would argue, as someone with perhaps slightly more of a criminal mind than you, what could happen is that people would steal the Crayola scent and pass off inferior crayons as Crayolas, because they could say, well, it has to be a Crayola.
Or indeed things which aren't crayons at all. You can trick people into buying, I don't know, like guns, or, I don't know, maybe you don't sell guns, maybe you sell cabbages. You could make them smell like crayons, then people will buy them, thinking they're crayons, desperately try and scrawl with the cabbages and end up just making a real mess and wasting the food.
And they won't even solve their mastitis. Just a little breastfeeding joke there.
I think, like, this Crayola smell is very interesting because, to me, there's nothing I want more than after a long, hard day at work to get home, run a bath, light a candle, and smell like a creche. Like, that's what I want. It's that relaxing scent of the under
wait
fives.
a minute, that's what I do.
I know.
We all want what we don't have.
And they're like, is a Crayola scented candle just like a load of crayons with a wick in the middle? Because it smells
Yeah.
Also, like, it's just like sniffing between the lines. I can see like I know I thought that earlier, and I wrote it down. And I was like, put it somewhere in this podcast, and I'm glad I put it in now.
Just want to reassure everyone that was not spontaneous. Like,
Oh,
let's
no.
not.
God, no, God. Because you know it's spontaneous out of me, because it's either like doesn't make sense or a horrible confession to eating something, or I love your idea, John, about people passing off smells. And like, I was thinking about smells that I recognise. And I think the smells that humans make after consuming stuff, like, have you ever eaten Frazzles or bacon fries? And then 2 days later you smell it after passing the wind. And you're like, how does it do this? How does the scent stay in such pristine condition going through the human body? And I think they should copyright that. I think there's different smells that should be copyrighted.
Wait, actually, legally, I'm going to pitch a system. You can only copyright the smell if it can survive passing through the human digestive system intact.
Beautiful. I think that's the legal remit for everything, isn't it? Only if it survives going past the human digestive system.
I just got a very vivid sense memory of a boy who was one of the weird kids. I'd say one of the weird kids. He wasn't the weird kid in the class. I would say one of the weird kids, because I definitely counted as one of the weird kids. But he was one of the weird kids in the class, and he once ate everybody's blue crayons.
What?
He had a taste for specifically the blue crayons, and I assume it was something like when they insist on brown M&Ms in their rider so that they don't blow up the stage. I don't know. He liked the blue crayons. He ate the blue crayons, and then he threw up violently on the floor of the classroom. And for some reason, it made him a hero. He turned the crowd.
Oh wow! Well, it was blue, the vomit, presumably.
Yeah, there was something about the commitment to the bit, I think, that won the respect of the people.
Oh wait, he blew chunks. Huh?
He blew. Hey! Did he grow up to become a member of the Blue Man Group? Like, they're like, how did you invent this great idea? And he's like, well, I was in school.
He did not, but they have a legal order stopping him coming in because he keeps trying to eat them all. Jumping on the stage and licking their faces.
That's what they say when you achieve fellatio for the first time. You just entered the Blue Man Group.
Imagine like the roadies and groupies involved in the Blue Man Group, and he
just walking away like they've been sucking on one of those Slurpees.
It's not a funny way to phrase it. Achieve fellatio. Much better to say pull it off.
You need to be watching this on YouTube to see how pleased we are with ourselves for this.
Oh, we're just sucking each other off now after that joke.
Yeah. Your ad section now, because you can't be what you can't buy. And this episode of the podcast is brought to you by Carpets. Carpets, the wig for your floor. And have you ever wondered if your significant other is having an affair? Stop wondering and find out for sure with Efficiency First Detective Agency. Our detectives are guaranteed to seduce your significant other, so you don't have to lie awake at night wondering where they are. They're with one or more of our detectives. Efficiency First Detective Agency. We're in your house. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. I am getting so hot, I better take my clothes off. Is this you? Have you ever wondered if taking off all your clothes is the most efficient and socially acceptable method for self-cooling? Maybe stage in. Try something less intense to start. It's getting hot in here, so the next time someone tells you to take off all your clothes, try half a glass of water. Hey.
I didn't see it coming. Amazingly, I didn't. I wasn't thinking that's going to be that one. I was thinking it was going to be for nipple fans or something. Wow.
We're all fans of nipples here. And this brings us to slow news story 2, which is the news that a snail farm in a city office has sparked a tax avoidance probe. Alison Spittle, you've avoided probing. Can you unpack this story for us?
So this is about a Liverpool. Well, they're not even a Liverpool-based business. There's a Liverpool-based office, right, ran by a dude from a tax haven who is trying to avoid paying business rates on an office. So he's now hired a company to put a snail farm onto one of the floors of his office to make it agricultural use. So therefore, they would have to pay less tax. It's a very strange organisation. What I love is that the firm that's renting the space said that it was a legitimate snail farming operation, which legitimate snail farming operation, it just sounds like, it sounds like a terrible band in high school. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, we are a legitimate snail farming operation. Beautiful. What I love about this is the BBC have done a report on this, and they've interviewed other snail farmers. There's not that many snails in this office, and they've asked other snail farmers for their expertise. They say there's not many because they want to prevent snail orgies.
It's not just that; it's cannibalism, group sex, and snail orgies. That's what they say they want to prevent. So there's only 2 snails per box.
Is that what Noah did with his ark? It's like only 2 by 2 because we don't want no orgies or cannibalism.
And if we're gonna have orgies, they're gonna be interspecies
and monogamous, just 2.
But the strange thing, I understand why if you want to farm snails, you would get cannibalism out of the way. That's not useful. That eats into your product. But snail orgies and group sex, that's just Puritanism. That's not harming the operation.
Yeah, they're just disgusted by the ideas of snails having sex, and it just has to be accepted. Snails have sex. I've seen snails have sex. Like
I've
4
watched
times on
snails
television.
have sex.
Yeah. I've seeked it out, and it's actually quite beautiful.
I mean, it feels like if your job is snail farming, surely the thing that you should not object to is snail orgies, because presumably you want the snails to make more snails. Unless it's like one of those fashionable boutiques where you like walk in and there's only like 3 shirts on a rack. So you know this is a really expensive snail farm. One of those shell is gilded and it's just sitting on a plate. You know?
Well, you know what they say about snails? Slow and steady avoids the tax. Like, it's a beautiful saying.
I've got to say, like, I like the scheme enough to go like, oh, let him have it. Like, if you're gonna like put some snails into the box and say this is agricultural use, like they could have just stuck potatoes down there, but no, they had the creativity to go, let's use snails.
I think it's I agree that this is not the fault of the people taking advantage of the loophole. In this instance, this is the fault of the loophole. If they didn't want people putting snails in some boxes in their office blocks, then they should have worded the law more carefully. I feel like everyone in the office has now got a compulsory chia pet. Another way around this, you're farming alfalfa.
Alfalfa? Is that the kid out of Little Rascals? What's the...
He's named after a kind of plant.
Oh, right, okay, sorry. I was like, oh, this is a surreal joke.
He wasn't a scientist who discovered a plant.
Okay, cool. I'm good. I'm learning. I'm learning so much.
And that brings us to our reviews section. As you know, each week we ask our guest editors to review something out of 5 stars. John Roberts, what have you brought in for us today?
Can I start my review by saying I am very tired. I've just finished the Edinburgh Fringe, where I've been performing all 10 of my previous shows. So my mind has not been working quite as it should. With that proviso, here is my review of the new Aliens film, which I have not seen. There are either not enough aliens or too many aliens in this film. Why isn't there a cat in it? Or if there is, why is there a cat in it? I would like to see one of the aliens genetically spliced with a giraffe. I think that would be cool. Its funny xenomorph head sticking up over the wall it's trying to hide behind. Why not one friendly alien who teams up with the good guys and speaks, says things like, oh gee, and gosh, I'm sorry for what my alien friends have done, Ms. Weaver, if Sigourney Weaver is in the film, which I don't think that she is. The disco scene is good. The alien is a good dancer. I think Prometheus is one of the worst films I have ever seen. I give the new Aliens film 3 eggs out of 5.
Hey.
Thank you.
It's the kind of review that makes me do what reviews normally do, which is feel like I've seen the film so I don't have to watch it. So thank you.
I know. That is good. If I wanted a synopsis, I'd look up a synopsis. Just tell me the vibes. You know? Give me vibes, sir. Or give me nothing.
Space spooky. I guess that's the vibes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or no, it could. Sometimes it's space spooky. Sometimes it's space fighty. And actually, it's legitimate to say, is this space spooky or space fighty?
Yeah. That's a really good way of doing films. Will this film make you depressed about how small you are compared to others in the universe? That's mostly when I watch space films or disaster films. The only thing I walk away from is, I would just, if I was a character in that, I would kill myself within the first 10 minutes. I'd be gone. I would not, surviving is not worth that. Yeah, that's what I would do. Pretty Woman, I'd kill myself. Bang, gone. Sorry. First 10 minutes, I'm gone. What other films? Finding Nemo? My kid is gone. I'm gone. I'm gone.
Hey, but the kid's okay. And now, no parent. Wow.
No, I know. Deuces. I'm gone.
The kid's an orphan.
Swimming into the back of a boat engine. Bye.
If nothing's wrong, it's just a Wes Anderson film that starts a bit slowly. Like, fuck.
I'm bored.
Oh, everything's too symmetrical. I'm out.
And the only method is swimming into the back of a boat engine for every film. And you're like, what?
Oh God, I matched the wallpaper. I think one of the worst trends in cultural criticism in the last sort of 10 years is where people notice a thing that's happening and pretend that is a negative critique. That's like, they notice a trope. They're like, well, it's just like any movie where two people fall in love. It's so boring. And you're like, no. The mark of good, something being good is not that it is entirely original. It's that it's interesting whether or not it's original.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I can't wait until I get to make films. And then it'll be the trope is, within the first 10 minutes, the protagonist swims into the back of the boat engine.
Does the film then carry on? Is there then like 80 more minutes of just just lingering shots in different rooms in different locations as secondary characters wander around going like, we don't know where they're...
That's exactly what happened.
The Alison Spittle Film Festival, just she manages to yeet herself out of the movie in the first 5 minutes. Alison, what have you brought in for us this week to review?
Yeeting myself. No. 5 out of 5. I've come to review Having a Fringe. It's my first time, just back from the Edinburgh Fringe. But before I went to the Edinburgh Fringe, this wonderful lady in Dublin gave me a fringe and cut a fringe into my head. And I love it.
Yes,
it's
sorry to interrupt, but let's
yes.
just clarify for our American listeners that when we say fringe, we mean bangs, and when you say bangs, we mean f***ing. So
yes.
Just...
Oh, I did both. That's how I paid for it. You know, it's beautiful. So, she gave me this wonderful fringe, a bang. She didn't give me a bang.
It's not just a bang. I think it's got to be plural. Oh,
Right.
but what is a bang? Is that one strand of hair or is it a few? Sorry, Alison, this is your time. I'm out.
I think a bang is this.
So
That
one
one.
bang is like, so some hair within the bangs, which has naturally like Supermaned itself together.
I'm going to give myself a bang.
No, it's being filmed, Alison. No, they won't be able to show it.
Fair. Ped needs to get onto HR. He'll be like, what I've been put through this morning.
Half of the Gargle episodes, he's blurring out my baby's face. The other half, he's blurring out explicit sex scenes. It's very confusing.
It's amazing because it feels like a hat. It makes the front of my forehead warm. It also is a great conversation starter. People are like, you've changed your hair. Because the great thing about getting your hair changed, I think, is that you can legit compliment someone on that or notice it. And it's the only thing about someone's looks that you can do. Do you know what I mean? That's polite.
Yeah,
So-
this day and age, yeah.
In this, political correctness. They'll come for the hair though. soon. But yeah, I love it. It feels like wearing a hat. I feel like a different person. I feel like I look like I'm living in East London. I don't know. Someone told me that, and I've held on to that for a year. Someone also told me I look like the mum out of This Is England, and they're right. I do. So that's it. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5.
I think that's a wonderful thing. I think it suits you very well.
It does suit you very well, to the point that I'm going like, well, surely you've always had bangs. This is so natural.
I know, it is a natural progression. I give Big Bang energy, I feel. Like
What? But you start like imperceptibly tiny and then suddenly you're everything that's ever existed.
That's my career, baby. That's what I want. I want to be everything that ever existed.
And that brings us to our next slow news story, which is the news that a post box has sadly been closed in Addiston, a remote area of Northumberland, because snails were eating the mail, which, apart from spawning 1,000 children's books, has not been very good for people with written correspondence. John Luke Roberts, you've posted a letter before. Can you unpack this story for us?
Well, I can unbox it, because that's what you do when you get sent something in the post. Well, yeah, so they've closed it to stop the snails go. I mean, you said the whole thing, basically, that the Royal Mail have gone, we're not willing to deal with this snail infestation. We're just going to close this off, let them have their orgies in there without us bothering, and not let people put post in, which I think is just giving
Conveniently,
up.
the post box is now zoned as a farm.
Yeah, which means at least they don't have to pay tax on... Oh, maybe it means Royal Mail don't have to pay tax on any of their operations because it's agricultural use. It does seem to me like giving up, and I feel sorry that Royal Mail have felt like they have to lay down their, arms and aren't standing up to this scourge of snails. Not least because all they would have to do is put some salt around the bottom of the post box. This was easy to solve without...
Or, if you don't want to use government resources, you can go to the community and ask people to salt their letters before they send them.
Yeah, and then that means whoever gets them has a nice tasty letter at the other side.
Keeps witches away.
Keeps witches away, which can either be a good or bad thing, depending on the witch.
Yeah, that's true. When I used to do seances with Ouija boards, we used to put salt around the Ouija board to keep out bad spirits.
Oh, only good spirits would be able to come through.
Yeah, and as well as that.
Did you put some tequila out as well in a lime for the party spirits?
Yeah, therefore, I think poltergeists are not actually bad spirits. They're just party spirits that love to do percussion on your kitchen cabinets and stuff. But yeah, it did kept out the bad spirits and the snails and slugs, because you don't want that stuff at a seance.
Well, you don't want a snail pushing around and doing its spelling. What's a snail got to offer to the conversation? I am a snail. Shut up, guy.
It just says Brexit means Brexit. We're like, ooh, political snail. Get Brexit done. That'd
be quite funny, because you'd get to like Brexit means, and then you go, I wonder what this snail thinks about Brexit. What's it gonna? Is it gonna? Oh, it's Brexit. Yeah, it means Brexit. Yeah.
And that brings us to our final story of this week's episode of The Gargle. And this is, unfortunately, for my theme of the week, an exciting news story, which is that French authorities have arrested the CEO of Telegram, Pavel Durov, at a Paris airport. For a whole bunch of things. Many people believe that this is a political arrest. I am going to argue by putting it in the Gargle that it is not a political arrest. Telegram is generally seen as sort of one of the more free speech friendly apps for exchanging messages, in that there is no kind of moderation or regulation, and they won't report you to the police if you're doing people trafficking on there or organising terrorism or whatever. This man, Pavel Durov, is a free speech warrior and also has, I think, 100 children, because he believes that his genetics are that worthwhile. Look, you cannot say he doesn't have confidence.
I know. And 100 Nepo babies as well. Like, we don't need any more of those.
Oh no, he's done it by sperm donor. This man is not someone who's taking responsibility for his actions. He's just providing a platform for these children.
So he's had 100 wanks?
At least, Alison. At least.
It's the hustle culture. This is grindcore. This is...
Yeah, grinding your dick into a powder because you've wanked so much. Like, rise and grind. Rise and grind is specifically having a wank in the morning.
I don't think he did it all in one day.
He doesn't have enough time. He's going to do it all in one day. He went on Diary of a CEO and he's still wanking.
I want to see his Mark Wahlberg morning wake up in the morning.
Wake up already wanking, don't know how.
Just throw it at a passing lady as a charitable donation. Write it off on tax.
Like confetti. Just bang.
Well, come on a snail so you can pass off the sperm donation company on tax. Send it in that way. What's that trail it's leaving behind? We just don't know. It could be either. You're right, Alice. It's not a political story.
It's not a political story. I mean, this is a story which could contain, terrible tangents into the horrible crimes that have been allowed to be committed on his platform by his generally negligent oversight. But I think we're better with the snail wanking.
Yeah, it's beautiful. This is like, is it Malcolm Gladwell? It's like, you only get good at something after 10,000 hours. And he's doing that with wanking. Like, I do love that we have really made this unpolitical.
There's a joke there's a tipping point joke as well. I just don't know. I haven't got there quite yet. Something there. Ugh.
Yeah, I know what the sex tape is going to be, though. It's just him in a room with Alison Spittle in a window.
Oh, and a Tupperware thing full of snails. Just it's the most grim.
And the movie starts. You're in the room with him, and then like
I only get to see 3 wanks, and I'm gone. I'm out, man. Deuces. Get me that boat engine.
Wank 1, you're like, well, I don't like this much. Maybe it'll be better next time. Wank 2, no, not at all. Look, I've got to give him out of 3. Got to let 3. No, this is it. I'm done.
I'm done.
And that brings us to the end of this week's episode of the Gargle. I'm flipping through the ad section at the back. Alison, have you got anything to plug?
I do, and this is specific. This is a specific call out for Gargle listeners because I think there might be someone who can help me. I have been suspended off Instagram for what crime, you may say? So they say child endangerment and exploitation, right? Which I deny. What happened was I shared a video of a child being chased by a puppy, but instead of a puppy, they put Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide, Senior Global, instead. So it's a funny little pun. But anyway, it's been gone for a month. I want it back. If anyone knows anyone in Meta who can help me, that would be amazing. I'm recording a Radio 4 special in Up the Creek in September. I'll just give you the dates. Petty Please is a new series that I have. It's going to be on the 23rd of September. And the other day is, on the 30th of September. So please come along to that. If you put in Glitter Babe, hashtag Glitter Babe, I'll know that you're a Gargle listener and you'll be put up the list because I want Gargle listeners and people that actually know me over people that are going to get that ticket because they want to go see Graham Norton in a year and they have to go watch someone they don't know. And there'll be animosity. So I just want nice Gargle listeners. That'd be amazing. I've taken over this a bit too much. But that's all the things I have to advertise.
John Luke Roberts, have you got anything to plug?
There's a new season of my podcast Sound Heap coming out soon, which I say with a slight laugh because I need to make that. And I've just come back from Edinburgh where I've done all of my solo shows from the last 14 years, which is 10 shows. And in October in London, in the Pleasance, on the 13th and 20th, which are 2 Sundays, I'm doing 5 shows a day.
No.
So that's the London run of John Luca Palooza. I'm not sure we've announced it officially yet, but it should be up for sale in the next few days.
John, you're going to need so many wanks to get the energy for that.
No, that's not how wanks work. It's the opposite. They take the energy away.
Oh, do they? Oh, no.
Yeah. I can't wank till November, Alison.
No fap until those shows are done.
I'm very impressed. The most I've done in a day is 4 solo
Wanks
shows. in a
or
row,
shows?
so-
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, what is a show but a wank, really?
That is genuinely true. That is good.
I am going to be in London this week. So if you would like to come and do a writer's afternoon with me, you can. It's at the Bread and Butter Lounge in London on the 8th of September. And it is from midday until 4 p.m. If you want to come along, there's something that you're working on or something that you want to work on, I'll come, I'll give you personal feedback. Numbers are very limited. If you go to my link tree, the application form is there and it's first come, first serve. It's linktr.ee/Alice Fraser. It's linktr.ee/Alice Fraser, linktree Alice Fraser. That's the application form to join me for an afternoon of writing, if that sounds like fun to you. I'll be there writing whether you come or not, so don't feel too much pressure. Also, the book is coming out and I have a finalised date. When they asked me to write a book, I thought I will write the book and then the book will come out almost immediately, but turns out you finish writing a book in September 2023 and it comes out on the 6th of February 2025, which is the release date. The 6th of February 2025 is the release date. I'm currently having fistfights about the cover art. It's all done, it's all finished. I've sent off my markups. So it's called A Passion for Passion. If you'd like to pre-order it, it's at unbound.com. And the rest of my stuff you can find at patreon.com/Alice Fraser. This is a Bugle podcast and Alice Fraser production. Your editor is Ped Hunter. Your executive producer is Chris Skinner. I'll talk to you again next week.
You can listen to other programmes from The Bugle, including The Bugle, Catharsis, Tiny Revolutions, Top Stories and The Gargle, wherever you find your podcasts.